Good morning, this is Shelly from Hodgepodge Hoosiers. It's August 5th and today is we're, we're doing freezer corn. I've got it all washed and I run my little handy dandy corn brush over it to get a lot of the silks off. This works great. Got my ice water ready. I just freeze ice in yogurt containers to get it good and froze, and then it lasts longer than just ice cubes for me. I got my tongs and big bow, and this is my super big bow with my electric knife ready to cut it off the cob. I've already put a few ears in the water, the boiling water. It'll be in there for 3 minutes. Then I'll take it out and I'll put it in the ice water to stop the cooking process. Then I lay them on this towel. Lay it on this towel to dry a little bit, get all the excess water off, and then I'll start cutting off the cob. And after I cut it off the cob, then I measure 2 cups per quart bag, and I'll show you that. But right now I'm trying to just get them all blanched, and then when I get them all blanched, then I start the next thing. It just is easier than doing a little of each. So as soon as I get these all blanched, we'll get on to the cutting process. Just letting them cool off a little bit. I've already done 1 round. I got my pot filled again, got to get it back up to boil. So 3 minutes for them, and then they come over here. Then we can set these out. Yeah, we can't grow corn. The deer like it too much. Like I'd said in the previous video, we may try to grow it next year, but we'll have to put a fence around it. But we found a great deal at a farmer's market that was local and picked up this. So I've already put up about 7 dozen of corn in the last couple of weeks. So this is 4 dozen more. That'll finish us for the year. That'll keep us until next corn season. So I'm excited to get the freezer full of the corn that we need. Okay, I've got them all blanched and they've been draining on the towel, and I had put them through the ice water, so we're ready to get started. So all I do is use my electric knife. It gets it pretty clean. Now I know that I could freeze them on the cob, and the reason that I don't is because I have a partial plate denture and my husband has a denture, so we can't hardly eat corn on the cob. So I go ahead and cut it off, so that way when we're ready to use it, all I got to do is pull out a quart bag in the freezer and it's ready. I got this little bow. I just stand in here. It kind of just helps me to hold it up higher. I've got a big old tub right here on the floor. I'm throwing my cobs in. This afternoon we'll take them to the neighbors' cows, and we got permission from them to give them our corn silks, corn cobs, watermelon rinds, and they love it. And one year now, I took my cobs and I made homemade corn syrup. Well, I don't need to do that this year, so this year the cows are going to benefit from the cob. You can also make corn cob jelly, but I'm just going to do the freezer corn this year. I've got plenty of jellies on my shelf. I have been thinking if I can get a hold of some more peaches this weekend when I go to our farmer's market, I may make some peach butter. But that'll be all that I'll do probably for the jams or jellies, butters this year. Well, until the fall. We're going to go to our local orchard, and they give us a good deal on apples. I'll have to make more apple butter. That's the one we use the most. So I won't make you watch me do all this. One thing, it's loud. So when I get it all done, I'll show you how much I ended up with 4 dozen of ears. Not sure what happened here. I think my microphone must have died or something. But this is how much 4 dozen did. And this scoop is a 1 cup scoop. So all I'm going to do is put 2 good generous scoops in one of my Ziploc bags. All I did was put the date on them. And I've got this nice big funnel. I use this funnel a lot. As you can see, they're generous scoops. Then I get the air out of it and seal it. And then I'm going to press it flat so it'll lay better in the freezer. And that's all there is to it. I'll go ahead to the next one. I think I just figured out that my microphone wasn't on. Okay, I guess I didn't get it working. I ended up with 9 bags of the 2 cups in each bag, and then I made 2 bags that's got them stars on it. Those are closer to 3 cups in each one. I always like to do a couple of them for like if we have a family gathering and I take corn. That way there's just a little bit more in it. But yeah, I was really happy to get as much as I did. That puts me to my quota for corn in the freezer this year. I don't have to worry about not having corn because it's been a few years now since I bought canned corn in the store. We trying to not buy canned stuff like that, as well as like the green beans. So we was happy to get that. Now I'm telling you here that my next project is going to be salsa. So that's going to be the next thing I get started on here is salsa. Okay, it's August 6th and I've got all these Romas. I got a few round regular tomatoes in there, but mostly they're all Romas. I'm going to be making salsa today. First thing I got to do is get all these skins off. I'm going to be using Mrs. Wage's mild salsa mix. It's our absolute favorite. I'm going to get all these skins scalded off. All you do is, I always cut this little piece off here, and then I'll score it and put a line each way and throw them in boiling water. I've got it going on the stove. And usually about 3 minutes, you'll start seeing that skin peel. You take them out, and I'll have cold ice water in this side, and I'll shock them cold to stop the cooking process. Peel them, and we'll get it all mixed up. Got the first round of tomatoes in the water. They'll be in there probably 3 minutes or so. You'll see, like where I scored this one, it'll peel back, and you'll know that it's ready to come out. See, you can really tell they're starting to peel back, which lets me know they're almost ready to come out of the water. Then we'll get them into the cold and start another round. Okay, I've got them all. They was in the ice water, then they get transferred over to here. I've actually got a couple I've already started. I got my big pot here to put them in, and all I do is give them a rough chop. And the reason I don't dice them real small is because we like our salsa smooth when we eat it with tortilla chips. So I've got a magic bullet, just a little portable blender chopper deal, and I've got one of the cups that goes on it holds a pint. So whenever we want salsa, I just pour a pint of salsa in the cup that goes to it, and we puree it up smooth. So these just has to have a good rough chop to them. I don't worry about getting it small enough because I know I'm going to blend it anyway. This is the hardest part of making salsa, is the chopping up, and it's not hard, just takes a little bit. I'm going to get my spatula to lift that up a little better. Let's see here. That'll do it a little better. And I get some juice because I don't have many regular tomatoes, so any juice that I get off of the regular tomatoes I do put in there. Like, see how easy after you put them in that water for just a little bit. Makes it real easy to make salsa. My aromas didn't get real big this year, but I sure have got a lot of them. So I'll take that because last year I didn't get very many. But thankfully the year before I had a good crop of tomatoes, so I was able to make a lot of salsa that year. That's why I try to account for that. If you're going to have a bad year the next year, you always want to make sure you have enough salsa on the shelf for anything you're going to do, because you don't know what the next year's crop's going to be. So always try to get up as much as I can, because you never know. Like this year now, I'm going to replenish my salsa shelf, and then next year, I mean, I hope not, but we could have a bad year for tomatoes, but I'll be stocked. So yeah, this is almost fun, peeling them like this, because they come off so easy. It's got a spot on it. That off. I'm still going to have plenty of aromas, but I probably will just go ahead and freeze them with my other tomatoes. That'll just help make the tomato soup that I'm going to do probably next week thicker. It won't be as, because aromas don't hold a bunch of juice in them. So anything I can add like that is going to help the soup thicken, because I only had it figured that I needed 24 jars of salsa this year, because I've still got probably a good dozen or more from the year before. So now I'm getting an extra I don't know how many. I've got 8 jars out. I'm hoping that that's what this will do. Now, I know the Mrs. Wages package says to do a certain amount of tomatoes. No, I didn't weigh them. I just go by how it looks. I know that's probably not per the canning standard. I don't know, but I feel pretty confident in how I do it. Now, last year I took all these peelings and I made tomato powder. And then you can put it in your soups for the winter. But I've still got plenty of that. We don't fix a lot of soup since it's just Jeff and I, and so I know I've got enough tomato powder probably to go till next year. Then I can do another round of it. So I'm going to get these all ready. I'm not going to make you watch me do them all. Whenever I get them all done, I'll show you the mix and what all we do to it and what we have to do next. It's not complicated. This is the hardest part, but I'll show you how I finish it. This is my last little bit. I just wanted to show you, I know most of you know, but for you beginners, the reason you want to do a Roma tomato is because they don't have that giant core like a regular tomato would have. So when you cut it, you don't have as much juice or seeds like you would a big round tomato. These here is more flesh, and so that way it's perfect for salsa. And see, there's not a whole bunch of juice squirting out. There is a little, but that's just a little information. I know most of you all know that, but just so see, you're getting the whole tomato, which is a spot, which is the flesh, which is perfect for when you make salsa. Like, see, this one here was just a small tomato, but look at all the juice that popped out of that one. You just don't have that with a Roma tomato or a paste tomato. I do like to put a couple of regular tomatoes in it just so I've got some juice. It helps with, I mean, we're going to puree it up anyway, so we don't have to have a real thick salsa. And it helps with sticking whenever you got it, because we got to cook it next. Get all them flavors in the mix to meld together before we jar it up. That was a mushy one. So I'm going to get these rest of these done up here and clean up my mess, and then we'll get all the spices in. Okay. Here's what I ended up with. I know this is a big pot, but I like using this for my salsa. I don't like using a dark pot. So I've got that tomatoes in there, and the package calls for a half a cup of vinegar, white distilled vinegar, and 1 pouch of this. Now, if you've got a scales and everything to where you can weigh all of everything, it says it takes 6 pounds. I tore off part of the directions. Or about 18 medium, or it even says you can use canned tomatoes, 6 cans, 14.5 ounce. I probably had right at about 6 pounds. I kind of know in my bowl how many I'm going to need, but already it just smells wonderful. So I'm going to get this mixed good. It don't take a whole lot, and we're going to put it on the stove. And it says, let me see here. Bring mixture to a boil, stir occasionally, reduce heat, and simmer for 10 minutes, stirring occasionally. Now, at that point, you can eat it if you want. But if you're going to can it, then I'll put it in pint jars, which I've got my jars and lids and rings all over there ready. rinsed off and sterilized. It's going to be in the canner for 40 minutes for pints. It does not say anything about quarts. I don't know if that's not recommended, but pints is what I do anyway. It's perfect for us. So I'm going to go ahead and do the next step of these, and we'll get them jarred up. Looking pretty good. Starting to heat up now. It won't be long, it'll be boiling. Then it just has to turn it down and then simmer for 10 minutes after it hits boil, and then we'll be ready to jar it up. I don't know how many this will make. This pot's so big it's hard to judge. Hoping I get my 8 pints though. Okay, it's all done and got its simmer time over with, so we're ready to start filling our jars. I go to about the bottom line there. I guess that would be an inch head space. If you fill them too full, they could siphon out, and then you've got a sticky mess to have to clean up. So I try to get really precise on the salsa. My in-laws got with me this morning and said they had a bucket of tomatoes for me. Wasn't planning on it, but it's just another one of those unexpected blessings. So I have got to get them all cut up, and I will freeze them. That'll just help with the tomato quota for my tomato soup next week. I won't get my 8 pints. But anything that I did today was going to be extra. Might get 7. Which I will take that. Okay. Maybe it'll be 7. This one might be going in the fridge, and we'll have salsa and chips for a snack one day this week. Looks like that's what it's going to be. Which that is fine too. So I'll let that cool, and then I buy these ball storage lids, and I've got some of these just plain white ones too. I keep these on hands. They're perfect for, well, after you open like a jar of jelly or even a jar of salsa, you don't have to put the ring and the flat back on. Sorry, I couldn't think of it. You can use one of them storage ones. I don't know how necessary it is to debubble, but I like to give it a couple of chops in there. There. A couple of these aren't as full as I thought they would be, so go ahead and add a couple more spoons. I think that's about right there. I don't think I touched the rims, but I'm just going to do that to make sure. I'm out of my 4-jar lids, so I've got several boxes of the Ball and the Golden Harvest, so I'm going to have to get them used up. I sure hope they seal. So 6 pints going to go on the shelf. 6 pints more than I was planning on. So we'll get these rolling in the water here, and I need to get on to the next project, which is going to be cutting up all those tomatoes. I have a 2-gallon bag. It's about half full, but a lot of them tomatoes I needed to let ripen a day or two, so we'll finish filling this up tomorrow evening. And there they are, 6 pints fresh out of the water bath. So I'll let them sit there the rest of the day, and then in the morning I'll come back and I'll take the rings off. I'll give them a good wash, make sure there's no dried salsa from siphoning or anything, which don't look like I'm going to have any. And then they'll be put on the shelf for this winter. So on to the next project. Not for sure what that'll be. I know squash pickles is in my future. Freezing French fries is, and probably canning more dill pickles. And I still have to get to that dandelion salve. So stay tuned.